Hey everybody, how's it going? It's your man Pete here from shopVOX, and I'm happy to talk to you today about operations manuals. Now, I've been talking to a few sign shop owners recently, and I came across this question where they were asking me if other shop owners also had an operations manual. My first thought here was that, boy, that would be really interesting if there was a way to illustrate and to basically make a manual, if you will, like a guidebook, for how each and every single one of your employees in your shop was designed to operate. We're not robots, right? So there is a humane factor here, but if we can provide guidelines for each and every employee to follow and give them a generalized direction for how they're supposed to operate in their role, well, that would be pretty interesting. I polled about 10 or 12 different sign and print shops this past week, and to my amazement, a lot of shops actually do have the beginnings or the workings of an operations manual. Now, the first thing here to understand is an operations manual and an employee handbook are two different things. An employee handbook usually talks about your policies, the policies of your business, the how-tos, the what-to-dos. Basically, in the absence of having an HR department, your employee handbook is an agreement, is an acknowledgement of the company policies for each and every employee that works for you. Doesn't matter what that employee does, it covers things like dress code, it covers items like calling out of work and how to do that and what the proper procedure is of requesting time off. And it goes into so many other different factors there, but that's typically involved in an employee handbook. An operational manual or an operations handbook is really going to take a deeper dive into the actual role of each and every one of your employees. So it starts with that. In order to create a thorough, well-put, well-designed operations manual, you have to first start with identifying the key elements to your business, the key employees, the key roles to your business. Once you've identified those key roles, you're going to make a section in your operations manual for that particular role. So, like many of us out there, we have graphic designers. We also have assisted graphic designers. Some of you have art directors. Whatever the case may be, you may have all of them. You're going to create a section in your operations manual designed for this particular employee. Now, what are the things that you're going to cover in the operations manual? Well, one of the things that you're going to do is you're going to put your thinking cap on and you're going to think about what that daily routine of that employee is like. You're going to walk yourself through what it's like to be in the shoes of your graphic designer, your customer service representatives, your outside, your inside salespeople, your account managers, your sign makers, your sign installers. You're going to go through all of their roles and you're going to clearly begin at the time that they arrive. What is the time that they're going to arrive? How are they going to be prepared for the workday? How do you guide them along each and every process? Who do they have to check in with? Who do they have to communicate with every day? What's the software that you're using? At what time during the day do they log into these softwares? How many times a day do they check their job board? How many times a day do they check their estimating? How many times do they check their art cues, their job boards, their design boards, what have you? You're going to go through each and every one of these steps inside your operations manual. Your operations manual is not going to be 10 pages long. Your operations manual is going to be 10 pages long per employee, thus giving you some substance to go back to in the event that an employee calls out like what they're responsible for, what they're supposed to be doing. You can actually have them cite the operations manual and say, listen, if you're unsure about what your role is or what you're supposed to do here today, go back to the operations manual and make sure that you have all of those items crossed off your list each and every day. It's super important to make sure that you have a checklist to go back to, like a daily checklist, because we get content in this business, everybody. Like your employees don't find the need to do a daily checklist. They're not going to turn the lights on, turn the lights off, arm the alarm, disarm the alarm, turn this open sign on, turn the actual sign off or on, whichever one you have to do. Check the voicemail messages, check the email messages. They're not going to write all of this down that they did this Monday, Tuesday throughout the week, okay? But it needs to be something in place to hold each and every one of your employees accountable so that you can say, hey, listen, this hasn't been being done and it's part of your operations manual. If you happen to be deviating from the operations manual, well, we need to hit pause on what's going on. Let's have a one-on-one discussion. Let's find out how we're going to adjust, how we're going to make some sort of accommodation for you, or how we're going to part ways because you're not following the system that you have set in your own business. So you identify those roles, what those key responsible roles are in your business. Then you're going to identify what those key daily practices, those best practices are of each and every one of your employees. And then you're going to talk about in your operations manual how each and every one of those roles systematically play a part in driving your business in the right direction. Your designer is going to design, your salesmen are going to sell, your account managers are going to manage. How does all of that work together? And more importantly, when do all of those items work together? At what point does your designer design? At what point does your salesperson sell? At what point does that get handed off to your account manager or your CSR? At what point does the owner come in and oversee everything? At what point does the installer get involved with the project? At what point does the production manager get involved with the project? You're going to take a look at the whens of everything and clearly identify a process. Once you have that process written down in an operations manual, here's my advice of what to do next. The very next step of what to do after you have an operations manual set in stone for each and every one of your employees that outline their daily responsibilities and then how those daily responsibilities work together in unison to keep the business running in the right direction. My advice to you is to get your designer to actually illustrate this in a visual form. Create some sort of infographic that's going to best illustrate your process, your entire process of when an order comes in or when a phone call comes in, what actually happens, who handles what, at what time does this get handed off to this person, and then take that infographic and put it in a place where it's visually accepted that everybody's going to see it at every point during the day. Why is this important? Why should you actually visualize your system? The answer is very simple: to establish a concrete black and white culture of what is expected of each and every one of your employees, of each and every one of your managers, so that they know that this system is flawless. There is no cracks in this system because right now it's right on the wall. This is what's supposed to happen when this happens. If this, then that. That should be your mindset when you are designing the visualization of your entire company process. Put it out there in the lobby, put it out there in the main conference room, put it there in your break room, create little flyers to hand out to everybody so they can keep in their back pocket just in case that they are gonna forget of who does what, when, and more importantly, why. So that's really it. The one thing that I've learned when investigating whether or not installing an operations manual is important is that you can kind of see the longevity of a company that has one and the company that doesn't, and how there's so many questions and how there's so many cracks in the system, and honestly the system's running itself and there is no it's organized chaos, if you will, when you do not have a operations manual set in place and you do not have that organizational flow chart, that process of how you do what you do in your business visually there presenting to everybody. It's going to create stability. It's going to create a great culture that everybody has to adopt to, and that when you have an adoption of your culture that you want, you're going to have a happy workforce. You're going to have everybody sharing a common goal, and you're also going to hold each and every single one of your employees, and the employees are going to hold the other employees, their colleagues, responsible. They're going to hold them accountable for what they are responsible in doing to achieve the ultimate goal, which is making a sale, making the customer happy, and getting a great 5-star review for the job well done. So that's it for me in this video. Are you gonna install an operations manual into your business? Let me know. Leave a comment below, and please do me a favor, like and subscribe to this video so that you will know when another video from me and the people here at shopVOX are gonna release another video for you to learn from and how to operate your sign shop a little bit better than you did yesterday. So I'm Peter Karunas with shopVOX. Thank you so much for watching, and don't forget, stay positive out there.